Hi everyone and welcome to another episode of the Simple Knit podcast. My name is Eleanor and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Simple Knit Co. This is just my little corner of YouTube where I hang out at my house in Brisbane, Australia and talk to you about all the things that I've been making, mostly knitting. So if this is your first time checking out the podcast or any kind of crafty knitting podcasts, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you. I hope you enjoy, and a big hello and thank you to all my lovely returning viewers. It's great to see you again. It's a beautiful sunny summer's Sunday morning here in Brisbane, and wasn't sure if I was going to podcast today because I didn't have a huge amount to talk about, but I figured why not? So I just have a couple of projects to share with you today. So pour yourself a drink. I've got a coffee in my regular little happy aquarium mug. I love the aquarium. I'm not sure if you know that about me or if I've shared that on the podcast before, but I love aquariums and all sea life. But the idea of diving or being in a submarine terrifies me, but that is another story for a very different kind of podcast. So sit back, let's talk about some craft. Let's start with what I'm wearing. I promise I don't just do this for the podcast. I really do wear this top all the time. It is my Fukuro top. It's designed by Whitney Hayward and I love it. I made it in, this is just what's it called? The Fibra Natura Cottonwood. It's just 100% cotton yarn. I'll link my Ravelry project down below so you can see what colours they are, because I don't remember because the names don't have any connection to the colour. They're like random girls' names, so it's quite hard to remember. But I'll link everything down in the description box below if you're interested, or if I skip anything, or if you just want some more information. Yeah, I love this top. I really honestly do wear it all the time. Not wearing it with the best sports bra today, but we're amongst friends, it doesn't really matter. So yeah, I love this top. I wear it all the time. It's the perfect length. I'm just wearing it with some denim shorts today, but it looks, you can dress it up, dress it down. I really like it. I did make it in cotton just because it is slightly better for the climate I live in. And I've actually been thinking of using the template of this top to make another top. I do still have quite a little bit of this yarn left, maybe doing like a cream coloured one with a black stripe or something. So yeah, maybe making like a stripy one or something without this little colour work detail, but using the same basic outline because I really like the fit of this top and how it works with the 8-ply cotton. I did when I made this, I should say. Because it's knit in the round, I added a basting stitch on each side. So when you're just normal knitting in the round, what you can do is on the sides where if this were a knit in pieces where the side seams would be, you just add a single purl stitch on each side, and then when you finish the garment, you just mattress stitch up either side of that little purl bump, and it creates a little faux seam, so you do get that little bit of structure, which is really good, especially if you're using a plant fibre that doesn't have the same kind of elastic memory that wool has. So it just gives it a little bit more structure, which I did on this top. You can't tell because the whole bottom half is black, so you can't really see, and I don't know if it made a huge difference, but I did it anyway, and it's really easy to do. You don't really need to think about it at all, and it's just something to add a little bit more structure. But I do really love this top. You should knit one. It's really cool and comfy, and if you look through people's Ravelry projects, people have made it in a whole bunch of different really cool colour combinations as well. I copied my colours straight from the sample, but there are amazing colour inspiration on the other people's Ravelry projects for this top. So enough gas bagging about what I'm wearing. I do have one finished object which I have to make an apology for, because I believe this has happened on this podcast before, where I finish a pair of socks and I can't find the first one. It's somewhere, it'll show up, I know it will. it'll probably show up as soon as I finish filming. But I can't find the first sock, but I also can't find one of my sock blockers, so it wouldn't be very helpful anyway, which is a fun insight into how I live my life. But this is just a pretty basic sock recipe that I like to use for a ribbed sock. The yarn is kind of the fun part of these socks. So this was from, it's the Knit Picks Stroll. They do the Sock Lab where they do kind of limited edition colorways, and this was the CMYK collection that they did. So it's kind of the 3 colors from printers that they used, and they had this color on either a white, a black, or then a grey base. And so when it came in the skein, in the loop of the skein, kind of half of it was these 3 colors together and then half of it was grey. And so it's knit up on this sock in this really nice kind of spiral effect. On the first sock, if you go back a couple of podcast episodes, I don't remember which one, where I did have the first sock, there was a bit of weird pooling in the colour, which I'm not sure. I looked at my tension and my tension looked fine, so I'm not sure if it was just when the yarn was dyed it was a little bit off kilter for some of the skein, or maybe it was my tension, who knows. But this one, it worked up really nicely in a nice kind of spiral pattern, which is very cool. So I knit these on 2.25 millimeter needles. I cast on 64 stitches. I've got 2x2 rib, a standard heel flap and gusset, and then I've just got 2x2 rib on the top half of the sock, and plain stockinette on the foot. And I knit these on magic loop, so with a higher sharp interchangeable 2.25 millimeter sock needle, and then just a standard wedge toe thing. You can see the decreases along there. And so yeah, these are really cute. I'm very kind of, by the time you do the heel on the second sock, you just want them to be over. So I think I knit almost, I'd done all of the gusset decreases, but I think I did the rest of the foot just yesterday because I was sick of knitting it. By the time you get to that like last 10% of the pair of socks, you're ready for them to be finished. But I really like them. They'll go into my little sock bag for when the temperature drops, if it ever does. And yeah, another pair of socks. So because I've cast off a pair of socks, I like to cast one on as soon as I can. I haven't cast this next pair on, but they're actually not going to be a pair of socks for me. I know, I'm so nice. Some non-selfish knitting will be happening here. So in April, so in a couple of months' time, my best friend and I are going away together for the Easter weekend. We're just going on a little trip, and I want to make him a pair of socks. I've made him a pair of socks before out of Knit Picks Felici, which these ones will be as well, in, I think it was, the colorway was called a Hawaiian shirt or something. It was just a fun, it was like blues, the stripes were blues, then with a yellow and a kind of a brownie colour, so like nice beachy colours, and he does wear them all the time. I said to him, I'm like, I'm trying to get some honest feedback, because he lives in Melbourne, so I can't just try the sock on him while I'm making it. So I've kind of had to guess, and he has giant feet as well, really big feet, and so you have to kind of guess and hope that they fit. And I was trying to get some honest feedback. I was like, well, what could I do better? The first pair I made, I just did toe up, fish lips kiss heel, plain stockinette, and then a little 2x2 rib around the cuff, as I normally do for socks and self-striping. But I did do toe up. And he's like, oh no, it's great. The top's a little bit tight, but it just helps them stay up better, which, because I feel like maybe there's quite big feet. I'm not sure if the fish lips kiss heel would be like the best fit, but it's also a good one to use when you don't have the foot there to try it on. Anyway, that was a very rambly story, and I don't think it made any sense. So I have a few different colors of Felici in my stash, And so I sent him a photo and got him to pick some for me to make him another pair of socks, and he picked this colorway. This is from like a year or two ago. I've had this for a while, and the colorways rotate in Felici all the time, so this is not super helpful if you like these. And it's not really showing up very well either. Let me see. Yeah, that purple is not that dark in real life. Anyway, this colorway is called Acrobat, and it's got like a grey, a mustardy yellow, an orange, a purple, and a minty green stripe. So they're really cute. So I'll be making my friend some socks in this yarn. And because he has huge feet, I do like to do them toe up. So the last time I made him some socks, I did them toe up, so I then just knit the 1,000 kilometers, which is the length of his foot, and then just knit up the leg. So I used up an entire 50-gram skein of yarn for his sock. Ideally, I'd prefer to do top down because I would like to do a heel flap and gusset just because I feel like it'll fit his foot better. But I might have to do it more like a shorty sock because I don't want to run out of yarn. But that is a fun decision for me to make. But yes, you'll very soon see a giant pair of socks in this color on my needles. So I do have 2 other garment projects to talk about. So I feel like I'm very chatty today because I'm looking at how long I've been talking for and how much I've spoken about, and I don't feel like it's very much. But oh well. So I didn't show this last time because it was just like a little cast, like baby cast on edge, so it wasn't very exciting to look at. But now that I have a little bit more knit of this, I can show it to you. So I have kind of shown this project before. A few months ago, I believe I showed it on the podcast. I had cast on this is the Ripple crop top by Jessie May Martinson, and I had cast it on using the pattern for, or like the schematic and stitch count and things for the worsted weight version of this pattern. Because the yarn I'm using is allegedly an 8-ply or a DK weight yarn. It is this Cartier yarn called Polynesia. It's just like a cotton poly blend. So it's really nice and shiny, and then has these little, let me see, there's no, here we go, like bits of kind of like unspun cotton. I don't know if you can see that. Little bits of like unspun cotton that just make like little nappy bits in the yarn. Yeah, so that's how it was knitting up. Anyway, so I had used, because this is allegedly a DK weight yarn, I had used the Ripple crop top worsted stitch count and things, but I wasn't, and I kind of got gauge, but I wasn't happy with how, because this yarn is quite thin for the most part, I wasn't happy with how it was looking at the gauge I was knitting it at, and also it looked quite small and it wasn't really what I wanted, blah blah blah. So I did have enough of this for the yardage of the fingering weight version of the Ripple crop top. So I ripped out what I had done, and I think I'd almost got up to where you would divide for the sleeves, but I ripped that out, and I have started again using the stitch count for the fingering weight version of this pattern, and I'm way happier with how the yarn looks at this gauge. I'm using a, what am I using? I think it's a 3.5mm needle. Yes, it is. I'm using a 3.5mm needle. These are just some higher, they're not even higher sharps, they're just higher regular pointiness needle tips. And I'm way happier with the gauge. It's a lot more stitches on the needle, so I'm way happier also with how much ease I'll have for this crop top. So I've only done this much so far. It's a lot, I mean, it's just kind of going around in circles, so it's some quite nice mindless knitting. But yes, hopefully that will start plugging along a little bit faster, so I have a bit more of a shirt to show you next time, and I can get some wear out of it in this summer. Yeah, so I believe I showed in last episode the Folker shawl from the newest episode issue, the newest issue of Amirisu magazine. That shawl is in timeout because it is quite heavy and it's bulky weight yarn, and it was giving me a little bit of dreaded wrist pain. So I'd been knitting on that a lot because I was really enjoying knitting on it, and so I kind of had been powering through with that, but was giving me a little bit of wrist pain. So it is in timeout, and I'll show it again eventually. Yeah, I'll show it again eventually. But yeah, I'm not working on that one at the moment. I think I'm going to give it a break for a month or two. Just because I've got plenty of other projects to work on, so I might give my wrist a little bit of time to recover. The other thing that I have been working on quite single-mindedly is my Klein Jumper in this amazing pink yarn from Jagera Plains, and I'm just up to doing the neck and shoulder shaping on the back. So this is the back piece. It's a little bit rolly because it is a jumper in pieces. So if I pull this out, that is all of the shoulder shaping. The shoulder hole, the armhole is quite deep. So this is the Klein Jumper by Julie Hoover. I don't think I said that. And I think I'm knitting the 3rd size, and I'm really happy with because it's a jumper in pieces, you can't really try it on and see how it's going to fit. I'm quite happy with this length. It'll be a nice big jumper, and it's got dolman sleeves, which I don't know what that is. That's a permanently designed feature of this pattern. I don't know what that means. But the armhole is quite deep, so how can I show this? Oh yeah, there we go. So kind of the armhole shaping kind of starts there, and so that's the body. So when you're wearing it, because this is almost at the top of the shoulder, I'm guessing the armhole's kind of going to sit here. It'll be almost like a bat wing kind of effect. That's what it looks like in the pattern pictures anyway. So yeah, it's very cool to kind of see it all come together, and it's been quite a while since I've knit a garment in pieces, so it is really fun to kind of construct a garment this way. Oh yeah, that's where I was up to last time I showed you. It was just down there on the body. I think I was just about to start the arm decreases. So yeah, I've done quite a lot of knitting on this over the last couple of weeks, and yeah, really enjoying it. So I believe I'm using all the recommended needle sizes for this one as well. I guess the 4.5. Yeah, 4.5. Sorry, because I think this is my most used size needle tip from my Licker interchangeable set. It's the writing's gone a little bit blurry on the needle tip because it's so well loved. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the process of knitting a jumper in pieces, and yeah, it's having the time of my life. That sounded sarcastic, and I promise it wasn't. I'm really enjoying this, and I love this yarn. This colour just brings me so much joy. So and it doesn't look anything like it does on camera in real life, because it is that really kind of high vis pink. It does make my phone a little bit sad. So I'll just pop that away. But yeah, that's kind of everything I've been knitting on. One of the reasons I have done a lot of knitting. You've seen all of the progress I've made on that jumper, but I have been reading quite a lot. So people who are not massive book nerds like me may not know. In March, Hilary Mantel's 3rd Thomas Cromwell novel is coming out, and this book we've been waiting for it for like, I don't know, like 10 years, I reckon. Maybe more. I reckon more than 10 years, actually. So Hilary Mantel is an amazing British author. She writes historical fiction, and she has written 2 books so far about Thomas Cromwell. So from the perspective of Thomas Cromwell of the Tudor court. And the first one, Wolf Hall, is one I'm rereading at the moment. When did it come out, actually? Oh, 2009, I think, from looking when it won all these prizes. Yeah, 2009. And then the second book, Bring Up the Bodies, came out, I think, maybe about like 2012, maybe. And we've been waiting for the third one. We've known there's going to be a third installment because she did kind of present it in the way that it would be like a trilogy. And the third one is finally, we've been waiting for years, it's coming out in March this year. I've already pre-ordered my copy. I'm furious about it because all of the first edition releases are hardbacks, and I hate hardback books. And it's also 912 pages. So for the month of March, I don't think I'll be doing anything except reading that book. But I thought, because it's been about 6 years since I read Wolf Hall, I would reread the other 2 Thomas Cromwell books in anticipation for the third one coming out. Now, I haven't done this, I think, since I was a child and the Harry Potter books were coming out. And when you knew the next Harry Potter book would be coming out, you would read all the books up until that one. I think I did that for all of them, except I don't think I did that for the 7th book, because I was in my last year of high school when the 7th book came out. So I was somewhat otherwise occupied. But I think for all of the books prior to that, I reread the entire series for the new one to come out. So I haven't been that excited for a series of books probably since Harry Potter. So I've been rereading Wolf Hall. I'm a good bit of the way through. This is like 650 pages, I think. It's massive. But it's so good. If you haven't read it, if you enjoy historical fiction, even if you don't enjoy historical fiction, it's just so well written. Yeah, there's so much. I mean, I could talk about this book for hours. I love it so much. I love Hilary Mantel. I think she's so cool. And the way she just writes like no one else. She's incredible. So I read this one, and then the second one, which isn't quite as long, I don't think. And then I will be ready for The Mirror and the Light in early March. So that's what I've been doing. I've also been going to the movies a lot. It is awards season, which means it is the one time of year we get any good international films in Australia. That's a lie, we get them all the time. But I actually have a list of all them. I've been to the movies quite a lot recently, so I didn't expect to be talking for this long. So I'm going to give you some speed movie reviews as well. Most of these should still be in the cinema or on a streaming service sometime soon. So the first one I'll talk about is probably my favourite film that I've seen in a really, really long time. It was incredible. It's a French film called A Portrait of a Lady on Fire. It's amazing. It won the Best Screenplay and the Queer Palm at Cannes Film Festival this year, and it's amazing. It's so good. It's kind of set in like 18th century France, and this woman painter is sent to do a wedding portrait of this other lady, a portrait to be sent to her to-be husband, because they haven't met before, but the woman won't sit for a portrait, so she's sent under the pretense that she's there to be a companion on her walks, and so she has to paint her in secret. And it's incredible. It's an amazing, like a beautiful love story, but also there's 3 women that are in this house together, and this beautiful friendship that grows between the 3 of them as well. And it's just beautiful, and the way, I'm actually getting goosebumps thinking about it, the way that they use like sound and music in the film it's so quiet. I had a packet of chips and I couldn't eat them because the film was so quiet. I couldn't bring myself to break the silence and eat my chips. But yeah, no, it was phenomenal. Highly recommend, highly recommend that film. The rest of them are good too, but that one was definitely my favourite. Next, I saw Little Women. I don't love Little Women as a story. Like, I didn't really enjoy the book as a child, and other interpretations I found a little bit like, but Greta Gerwig is an amazing writer and director, and what she did with the story was really great. I was watching an interview with her, and she actually went back through Louisa May Alcott's old letters and diaries and put a lot of who Louisa May Alcott was as a person into the text. And they do talk about this in the film, that she kind of presented a lot of kind of popular moralism for the masses to sell books, but that wasn't necessarily what she thought and how the kind of person that she was. And I think by they've re-injected a lot of her back into the story and kind of shown what an amazing and cool and very inspirational person Louisa May Alcott was. She was just incredible. Just like, even go and read Louisa May Alcott's Wikipedia entry. She was a really fascinating and amazing woman. But it's a really good film as well. And Saoirse Ronan and Laura Dern are two of my favourite actresses, and Meryl Streep's in it too. But yeah, they're amazing actresses, and it's a really good film. So that's another big tick from me. I went to see Jojo Rabbit, the new Taika Waititi movie. It was really good, really funny, really moving, adorable. It was great. Very funny, but yeah, also very moving too. That is about a little boy growing up in Nazi Germany, and his imaginary friend is Hitler, and he finds a Jewish girl living in secret in his house. So it's adorable, and it's based on a book as well, but I don't remember what it's called. One of my friends and I went this week to a preview screening of The Lighthouse, which is the new Robert Eggers movie that has Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson in it. And it was really weird. We knew it would be super weird. If you enjoy kind of it's amazingly shot. I think it was shot on like film, and it's square. I don't know any technical terms about filmmaking, but it's like square and it's in black and white, and the shots are gorgeous. It's beautifully shot. And yeah, it's just a kind of like a surreal descent into madness, which is kind of what you expect from the trailer. But it was weird, but it was really good. So if you enjoy that kind of film, I think you would really like it. Yeah, it's a very different role for Robert Pattinson, and I think he's really incredible in it. And Willem Dafoe is always great. And now on streaming services, I've watched more dude movies. So on Netflix, I finally watched The King, which is the story about King Henry the whatever, like the 5th maybe? But like the Battle of Agincourt, whenever that was. And that's with Timothée Chalamet and Robert Pattinson and Joel Edgerton. I'm really proud of Joel Edgerton as a hard-working workhorse of an Australian actor who's now writing and directing and starring in all these really great films that he's had a huge role in. I'm really watching this movie thinking I'm really proud of our Joel. Yeah, remember him from way back on The Secret Life of Us days, which I was definitely too young to be watching. But that was a great show. I think it's on Amazon Prime actually. I'm not sure if it is in the rest of the world, but it is on Prime Video in Australia. It's a really good TV series. But no, The King with Joel Edgerton in it, and Timothée Chalamet and Robert Pattinson, and Sean Harris, who plays Micheletto in The Borgias. Yeah, it was for like a dude fighting in mud movie. If you enjoy that kind of thing, it was good. It was pretty good for that kind of genre of film. And the last one, last film review. If you're not interested in movies, I hope that you turned off this podcast. I've watched the True History of the Kelly Gang. It's on Stan in Australia. I'm not sure how or where it is available in the rest of the world, but it's really good. It's from the writer-director team whose names I always forget. They did the movie a few years ago, Snowtown, which was based on actual horrific crime spree in South Australia. That was a really good movie, and it's the same team behind that. It's got Russell Crowe. I can't believe I forgot his name. Russell Crowe and Charlie Hunnam and Nicholas Hoult, and George Mackay, who's kind of quite the little starlet at the moment. But once again, it's like a bit of a dude movie, so it's a lot of men exploring what it means to be men, which is a little bit boring, but it was a really well-made movie, and it's based on a Miles Franklin Prize winning book, The True History of the Kelly Gang. And yeah, it's really good. Oh, and Nick Cave's son's in it, Earl Cave. And then he looks just like a little version of his dad. It's very cute. That's when you know that you're getting quite old, is when you're calling a man in his 20s cute. Like a little bunny rabbit. But no, it was really, once again, it was quite long and violent and shouty, but for what it was pretty good. So if you had to watch any of those movies from that list, I would say watch Portrait of a Lady on Fire, one of the best movies I've ever seen. But also there's another long list of recently released films and Eleanor's uninformed opinions on them. So I think that's enough talking for today. I think you've all listened to me ramble on enough. What have you been making? What have you been doing? Have you been to the movies lately? What are you reading? Let me know in the comments section below. I always love to have a chat. Come and check me out on Instagram. Come and hang out and say hi. It's always a pleasure to interact with everybody. Yeah. I hope you have a really great week, and take care, and let me know what you're making, because that's definitely what we're here for, is for the making. And I will see you in the next episode.